Academisation is a form of privatisation. It is about reducing the public voices in how we organise education and instead increasing the private voices in the way we organise education. So the first thing that happens when a school academises is you lose local authority governors, local councillors don't have the influence, parent governors are removed from governing bodies. In some schools in multi-academy trusts, no local governing body whatsoever. Often the number of staff governors reduced. So public voices reduced and private voices instead increased.
Don't know what I'd heard specifically or where I'd heard it, but when you said it to me, I knew that something wasn't right about academies. So then I started looking more into it.
Because I thought, an academy? What's an academy? What's it all about?
Hello, are you aware they're trying to academise the oldest school in Greenwich, John Roan?
So how are you feeling?
Right, positive. I think it's been really good actually for the turnout. Last night was amazing.
Definitely
the speakers
lifted
were
us.
fantastic.
They were fantastic, very informative and very positive, because the meeting last week was just horrendous, so it was good to have a positive meeting.
Great.
Thank you for your support, really appreciate it.
So I was hearing a lot about academies long before I ended up being asked to go and work in one.
Where's Stephanie? Has she gone in already? Should we all go in?
Yeah.
I think we should all go in.
That was a protest, so we went to the town hall to ask the council, obviously, and submit questions to them in regards to what we thought of this academy situation and whether the local authority would be able to help us.
Public chamber with a deputation.
Oh. Thank you everyone. You squeeze in.
Yes.
Hello.
Thank you for agreeing for our deputation. There's many of us here in the gallery. We are parents. We're not professional politicians and we don't choose to be here. We're here because what we fear could be about to happen to our children's school, John Roan.
My son has a condition called Duchenne muscular dystrophy, but he also has autism, ADHD and ODD.
People don't know what goes on beneath the surface. So beneath the surface of my clothes, I have pipes here in the top of my chest, which that's a Hickman line that goes into my heart.
I was a special needs assistant, so I worked with an autistic boy and children with special educational needs and children in general as well.
So she wasn't very supportive of this particular head, and I went in there and I got myself a job in there, and then 5 years later nearly, I'm still there.
That's one of the other reasons why we chose the John Roan School, because it had a pastoral beating heart, and we wanted to make sure that our grandchildren went to a school that actually looked after the emotional intelligence.
We were told that there was a possibility that an academy will come in and take us over. I thought, an academy? What's an academy? What's it all about?
Doing my own research about academies and, you know, that they're actually not a good fit for a school or for the children's education, for the teachers, for the parents, you know, for just only for, you know, the leaders and the CEOs, that because it's a business effectively.
We started to find out information that was shocking, not only to as a parent but obviously as a staff as well, because it's just a big, massive corrupt system.
They only have to keep the terms and conditions of the staff for a year. And of course, the first thing to go very often are the softer side, so the school counsellor, the student support managers or the pastoral assistants, they get whittled down. Gradually, all the support staff, you notice there's, the support staff over a couple of years is halved.
We had more supply teachers than normal teachers, which was really bad, and SEN children were really suffering. So when we did go to the town hall, I asked what would happen to the provision for SEN if this academy was to take over.
Jennifer Paget.
Hello, Madam Mayor and councillors. My questions in regards... And that's when actually it was really positive, because I was so nervous submitting that question and speaking in front of everyone in the mayor and all them councillors and parents as well in the room. And it was a scary experience, it really was, because I'm really quite passionate, and obviously it's really hard when you're talking about something so close to your heart.
TO at school, so I'm very concerned for the future, and when I signed my sign up to go to school, it was for a comprehensive, all-inclusive school, and I'm not happy that it's going to be now turned into an academy.
I mean, I felt stoned. Big words to tell us to keep quiet.
Everything that was said was obviously from my heart. I'm so passionate, obviously, about my son, about the school, and I'm very concerned about the future.
This is another struggle now that you just don't need as a parent.
It was a good intervention.
Yeah.
And actually you could feel it in the room as well.
Yeah.
Fighting as a parent is what I've always done, and I always will.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so passionate.
You know, it was rude last time, it was polite this time, but at the moment it doesn't amount to much different, you know?
This just shows actually what this campaign is about, because she just spoke from the heart.
When people meet us, they expect us to be abrasive and argumentative and aggressive, and when we're not, they get a bit of a surprise, and I think that is good.
We don't want our children's lives ruined. We want them to have an education that they deserve, and a community experience. We don't want them to put into an academy where it's all military, you can't talk in the corridors, SEN children are locked in rooms and cupboards and sheds, etc, etc. It's just, that's not a way to live, that's not a life. That's not a life.
The most important message that we try to give to everyone is we are parents for John Roan who want to support the school to improve.
We shouldn't live in a society like this. Children should be able to thrive in whatever environment they're in. And if that means they need a bit of extra support in some way, they should be allowed to have that. They shouldn't be declined their human right.
We're just here for our children's future and nothing else, not to cause any trouble. We just want answers, and I think that's something that we deserve.
We don't want the academisation. Parents don't want it. Students don't want it. The community does not want it.
Please listen to our
Please
voices.
listen and vote with your heart.
Parents don't want it.
No to academies. No to academisation.
Could I ask what response you got?
A frosty one, a very frosty one.
We said to her, are you considering tonight whether to give away our children's school for the next 125 years?
As the parents, obviously, aren't seen as important in this procedure, and that's what is the frustrating part, because it's our children that go to the school. And I didn't choose John Roan to send my daughter to because it was an academy. I don't want her to turn to an academy. I sent her to a comprehensive school. So why don't the parents have a say? Why can't the parents have a say? Why won't nobody speak to
Do you
us?
think parents should be allowed into this meeting to let the foundation know about their concerns?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
I say, could one parent just go in and just sit and observe? One person? Absolutely not.
So is there a way of communicating with the foundation and asking them why that response was given?
I've written emails to them and I haven't had any responses.
Okay.
So I've also written to the governing body and haven't had any responses. I've written to Kath Smith and I haven't had any responses. I wrote yesterday, I went into the school yesterday to ask for the minutes of all the meetings. I got an email saying I'd have them by the end of the day. I haven't.
Culture change, I think, is about having an unrelenting belief in what you're doing. It's about seeking to drive things through and not compromising, and being very clear that if people need to make a choice as to whether or not they want to join with you in that journey, or, as I said at the start, if it does feel like hell, well, then it's time for those people to find somewhere else, and that's certainly what happened at St Paul's Way Trust School.
UST are brought in as a support package, and Kath Smith comes in as head. 2 months later, Ofsted. Pretty much on the heels of Ofsted leaving the building, parents were told results will not be released until mid-June, and whatever it is, the governing body will not be challenging it. Well, why would they do that? They were ruled inadequate themselves. Why would they not challenge it?
Graham Price was quite happy to stand up in that parents' meeting and defend his £150,000 salary, and then tell a parent who had a special needs child that there was no extra funding because there'd been funding cuts. That is shocking.
I've never in a million years have thought that a CEO would have took a 4-month holiday to Colombia when his school was failing in the way it was.
You know, in the beginning it was like, again? Why are you out again? I've got to do this. But now, yeah, they understand it when I say it now.
So I've met a lot of new Year 7 parents, and we've been discussing about the situation with the academies, and it's lovely actually, because now it means that our group has become bigger, word's spreading, publicity is getting out there now.
I think it's been good for the school community, because when your children are at secondary, you don't normally get to meet many other parents or even the teachers, and I think that will be beneficial for the students and the teachers, you know.
Because we are a community school, we used to have some amazing things at the John Roan, we really did. We used to have a carnival every year, which was absolutely amazing. The kids would literally work all year so hard to appreciate what they'd get at the end of the year. So that's why I had this idea of this Halloween party.
Hey, what did you say? Who's hiding what body parts? Is this, are you spokesperson for John Rowan? Is this? Hiding body parts?
You might find Graham Price out there.
So choose your pumpkin. And I'll get you
Getting all the kids together, the parents together, and it was amazing.
That one looks terrific.
A little finger, LED finger to put on your finger, and then you take a little bag, and then you go on your hunt.
I gave my money for the education of the children of Greenwich.
The kids had a blast.
That looks like fun.
And the kids haven't stopped talking about it since.
Teachers at a state secondary in Greenwich are adamant that changing their school to an academy will not fix its problems. They're so angry about the plans that they've been out on strike today, and many parents are supporting them. Katie Barnfield has been to the school to find out more.
These teachers are angry.
An injury to one person is an injury to everybody.
They believe a strike is a price worth paying to try and stop their school being turned into an academy.
Academies are not good for schools, they're not good for children, and not good for the staff that work in them.
What would be so bad about the school becoming an academy?
Academies are privatisation. We will lose our school for up to 125 years. Our other big concern is the way that academies literally suck money out of schools.
Kes Grant has 3 grandchildren at John Rowan School. She's backing the walkout, even though one of them is preparing for his GCSEs.
Any teachers and support staff that are prepared to put their jobs on the line to safeguard my grandchildren's future deserve my respect and my admiration and support, really, because it's not easy taking on a fight like this.
Being an academy means a school is taken out of council control and instead gets funding from the government. They're overseen by a charitable trust. They're allowed to hire unqualified teachers if they want to and don't have to follow the national curriculum. Plans to make John Rowan School an academy were introduced after inspectors said it wasn't up to scratch. The teachers say if the plans aren't stopped, they could strike again. Katie Barnfield, ITV News.
Hiya, my name's Stephanie and I'm a parent. My daughter's in year 9 and I support these strikes because totally and absolutely against the forced academisation for a number of reasons. And I just believe if you're against something, you can't then be against an action which tries to stop the thing you're against.
I was horrified when I found out about what the academies were all about. And obviously there's unfortunately a lot of parents out there that don't know what an academy is and the process and all the things that go on behind it. We're trying to obviously get as many parents out as possible to support us, because obviously come September, you know, I've got a child starting year 7, she's going to be here till she's year 12. So the future of the school, the history of the school, we need to make sure we stick together and we fight for what's right.
I know because I was headhunted in 2011 to work in an academy and I was there for 5 years, and I'm actually a Church of England priest by trade, and I was asked to come in as a chaplain. I had to do so much support of the staff because they were made redundant. They got rid of the Senko. I've seen them where they do this thing called managed moves. So if they've got children with disruptive behaviours, instead of
excluding them, because that goes on the official statistics. They will move them, encourage them out the door. And the staff morale just goes down and down and down. And that's not good for our kids. That's not what we want. If you think you're too small to make a difference, try sleeping in a room with a mosquito. Yeah? So we can make a difference, and we will.
Wish you all the best. Democratic control of our public education is so important. So I urge success, patience, unity in this struggle, and hopefully we'll preserve this school as a democratically, locally controlled school for our kids.
Thank you.
God bless.
To see some of those women that had never been on a picket line before singing and waving flags was really heartwarming, actually. And to see the way they interacted and took on the campaign, I think that was significant for me. Keep hold of this moment when you're feeling out of sorts, because this will inspire you to carry on.
I just want to show you something. Please get a close-up on this. At Mr. Price's previous school, Wilmington Enterprise College, Ofsted had praised the school on improvements made in the curriculum, but had warned the head, Graham Price, that standards reached by pupils were inadequate. Well, despite this, Mr. Price decided to go on a 4-month holiday from January to April in school time on full pay to Colombia. In 2009, Ofsted re-inspected the school just after Mr. Price's resignation, and this is the state Mr. Price left the school in. Significant inadequacies in leadership and management, considerable weaknesses in teaching, learning and assessment, significant financial deficit. Governance inadequate. We are, quite frankly, sick of being ignored. We've been ignored by Ofsted. We've been ignored by the parent governors. Our children deserve so much better. We, the parents for John Rowan, thank you, demand the UST withdraw their sponsorship with immediate effect, and we urge the council to defer the vote, which they've done. But I'll see you all back here on the 11th. Okay, thank you very much.
Not for me! UST! Not for me!
Any academy!
Not for me!
They try to make me go academy.
I say no, no, no!
It could be just fine if you give us time. They try to make me go academy. I say no, no, no.
Don't be afraid to recognise when a relationship is dysfunctional, and then to say either things have to change, or if they can't change, then the personnel has to change.
Okay, we've just heard the good news that UST are actually going to be withdrawing. So UST,
not for me!
Yay! And so we are really pleased, because can you imagine what would have happened, people, if we hadn't have done this campaign? If John Rowan Resist hadn't got off the ground, that school would have been part of UST's portfolio now, And we've just heard the great news that they've decided actually UST can't take us on because with due diligence they've realised they don't have the resources to take on John Roan. Well, that should have been found out beforehand. It shouldn't be that because we've held the process up, that's why they found out that this is the case. Solidarity.
Happy Christmas!
Bye!
Bye!
At first he was a bit dubious because he said, I know you're doing it, but is it really going to change anything? And I said, well, we don't know that, but we have to try, you know. So now as the campaign's going and I've told him what's, you know, the things that we've achieved, he said, you know, it sounds really good.
We stuck together, and obviously now we're at this point now where, fingers crossed, there could be a possibility we could halt the process of the academisation, and we're hoping eventually that the law will change in our favour.
As a family, we've been involved in various campaigns over the years, but this is a good one because it's deepened some friendships as well. It's you know, because we've been working at it together for such a long time.
Ding, ding, ding. We're all going on a DFE holiday.
Andy, that's what I'm trying to get.
Yeah, Polly. Feel it? Nice and tight.
No to academies! John Roan resists! Daddy Paul, leave our schools alone! Woo! Greenwich, are you listening? Mr. Paul, can you explain your £240,000 wage?
I have an appointment with Mr. Coles. We would like to hand over a letter to him.
We don't want you. We're improving on our own under the Royal Borough of Greenwich Council.
Undermining learning and teaching. That's what ULT stands for in our minds.
John Roan resists! No to academy! John Roan resists! No to academy! John Roan resists! No to academy! John Roan resists! We know that these schools, which are going through forced academisation, many of them are judged not on the quality of the education they provide, but on their intake.
We demand Damien Hines revoke the academy order on the John Roan. We've had a monitoring visit by Ofsted in the last month. We're improving with local authority control.
Wow. Okay. You're on your own, John Roan.
As I've got older and as I've now got a disability myself, which I didn't always have, my views on certain things have got stronger. And actually, I was called, we were collectively called political activists, weren't we? And actually, yes, I think I am now, because I do believe if you don't agree with something, you do have to fight for it.
Our community has grown. You know, as before, it was just the 3 of us. Now there's the 30 of us. So actually it's an amazing feeling, and it's actually quite nice because as a parent, I'll get so wrapped up with everything with my kids that I lose myself. And obviously with this campaign, it's brought me out, which is amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, I feel like I've got a new lease of life.
Because it used to break my heart for seeing some of them children. They just couldn't cope with it, but they were made to cope with it.
What I'd like is for people not to be measured against each other, but to measure against themselves only. People's worth shouldn't be measured by how well they can cope academically, but by how well they interact with the world. I want to teach the grandchildren to be a value, not to be a success.
it's quite nice to have other parents with the same philosophies as us, that, you know, obviously we all want the best for our children, and that's what we want, not only for our children but all the children that go to John Roan. We want it to remain as a community school. We'll fight to the bitter end.
This council that said they were going to resist academisation have rolled out a red carpet for United Learning Trust to take over one of the historic schools for local children, John Roan. So, we are going to roll out a red carpet. Royal Village welcomes United Learning Trust, it says, but John Roan resists.
Just over a year ago, Greenwich Labour Group pledged to resist the academisation of our schools in the manifesto. And to date, they have failed unforgivably to act on this commitment in relation to the forced academisation of John Roan. We also believe the Council should support calls from teachers and parents, Labour Party members that are here tonight, to demand the government bring academies and free schools back to local authority, oversight and jurisdiction.
Hear, hear, absolutely.
Because without full local authority oversight of our schools, educational services and admission systems, our children's education cannot be fit for purpose. I think we've got 342 years of history that you're about to sign away. I think you could give us 1 minute more. It's particularly the needs of the most vulnerable pupils.
You're right. You're right, Kirsty. You are right. They know you're right. Yeah. We know you're right. Shame, utter shame at what you were about to sign.
I'll just finish. Sorry. In my classroom, sometimes students take time to compose themselves, and we always give them time.
And I'm happy to give time, but what we're not going to have is people following and shouting at the meeting. I ask everyone to be respectful, and please let Kirsty compose herself so she can continue.
Respect our school.
Yeah. So, the point I wanted to make is that our children's education cannot be fit for purpose to meet the needs of our local communities, particularly the needs of the most vulnerable pupils suffering due to the degrading cuts academies make to SEND provision. And the policy of off-rolling 55,000 children have disappeared from 2011 to 2017, and the DFE does not know where they are. And we know that this policy is orchestrated by MAP sponsors like the United Learning Trust, Leeds Academy Trust, Harris, AET, I could name more, because they believe that these children don't fit into their corporate image, and they worry they may damage their position in the league tables. So this evening we ask you, Danny, postpone the decision to hand over our community school to United Learning Trust, and to make a commitment to support the growing call within the Labour Party to bring academies and free schools back into local authority control. And I will conclude with the words that we often use in our PSHE lessons by Martin Luther King. We must learn that to passively accept an unjust system is to cooperate with that system, and therefore to become a participant in that evil. Thank you on behalf of the staff, families, and the children of John Roan.
duty to facilitate the conversion by the 1st of September, and that's the decision for all members. So can I therefore ask if members of the Cabinet agree to decisions 1.1 through to 1.5 as set out in the report?
Point of information, it is not the 1st of September, you have 3 months to change this.
Thank you. Please sit down.
You are a member of the Labour Party and you are not complying to Labour Party policy.
Slightly controversially, I suppose, I do feel that there's a legitimate view, which is that at some point you have to stop running two parallel systems, because there are a whole lot of things that which are still run according to fundamentally 1944 Act principles.
We've looked at the education system and it's been modelled on going back to the Victorian times. Well, actually, let's have a look around the world and see what's the best practice going on around the world and take the best of the best and create something new. Let's be brave. Let's do something new. Let's do something transformative.
The arts, PE, music, there's so many other things, and they need to stop just focusing on the academic subjects and making children fit in to the school system. Maybe make the school system fit around the children.
It worries me that we've gone down a cul-de-sac and we need to somehow try and turn it round. And I just hope that that happens with a change in government and a change in education policy. That's the only hope I can get, because I can't see that it happening with the current government.
It's 5 to 3, come to 3.
What time have you got to leave the building?
Probably about, union meeting starts 3:15.
Okay, so 5-10 minutes left?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go for it.